I still remember that night when she murmured those words. I won't be long. It was late, maybe past 11. The kind of hour when the city falls silent, yet your thoughts refuse to. Claire lingered by the door, half-dressed for the outside world, perfume clinging to her like guilt made liquid. I was on the couch, remote in hand, pretending to follow the news. She avoided my gaze. Just meeting the girls for a while, she said softly, rehearsed. I gave a slow nod, like I had done 100 times before. But that night, a part of me refused to nod along. You can always sense when a home stops feeling like yours. When laughter fades into background noise and silence becomes the dominant conversation. We had been married 9 years. I once counted the anniversaries with pride. Now they felt like reminders of how far love can stretch before it snaps. The truth is, I'd watched her drift away for months. Long glances at her phone, messages she angled away from me, nights out that bled into early mornings. But I said nothing, because men like me are taught that silence is strength. That night, though, her whisper, "I won't be long," landed differently. It wasn't an excuse. It was a confession wrapped in routine. When the door clicked shut behind her, the air grew heavy. I stared at her half-empty wine glass on the counter, lipstick still fresh. That small red mark felt more intimate than her kisses had been in months. I sat there, letting minutes stretch into hours, replaying every lie she had delivered with a straight face. Betrayal rarely arrives all at once. It seeps in through the cracks, slow, quiet, polite. By the time I heard her key turn in the lock again, it was 2:17 a.m. She tiptoed in like a thief, heels in hand, hair slightly tousled. She froze when she spotted me exactly where she'd left me. Her eyes flicked to the clock, then to me. "You're still awake?" she asked. "I told you," I said softly. "No need to rush." She blinked, confused. "What?" I stood, walked past her into the hallway, stopping by the photo frame. Our wedding picture. Her smile in that image belonged to someone I once knew, not the woman standing behind me now. "This home," I said, turning to face her, "is no longer yours." For a moment, she didn't move, didn't breathe. Perhaps she thought I was bluffing like all the other times I had swallowed my anger and waited for things to fix themselves. Not this time. There was no anger left, only clarity. She set her heels down, her voice trembling. "Ethan, don't be ridiculous. You're just tired. We can talk." Talk. I almost laughed. Talking had ended long ago. Now we simply traded excuses. Her face flickered between guilt and defiance. "You think you know everything, don't you?" "No," I said, "but I know enough. Enough to recognize when I've become just a name on a lease you've outgrown." The silence that followed was the kind that changes everything. She scanned the room as though seeing the house for the first time, as if every wall had betrayed her. She opened her mouth to speak, but I walked away before she could. I didn't need her apology. I didn't need her story. I needed only the peace that comes from finally seeing the truth. In the bedroom, I began packing her belongings, not in anger, but with the calm precision of a man reclaiming his life. Each folded shirt, every perfume bottle, a fragment of a life that had already ended. Only no one had signed the death certificate yet. When finished, I left her suitcase by the front door. She stood there, eyes glistening, torn between pleading and pride. "You're making a mistake," she whispered. "No," I said softly. "I'm just correcting one." She didn't move at first. Just stood there, mascara slightly smudged, breathing shallowly. I had seen that look before, the instant someone realizes the control they held is gone forever. "Ethan, please," she said at last, voice cracking. "Don't do this at midnight. Let's talk in the morning." I shook my head. "No, Claire. You've had plenty of mornings and nights. You just never use them to speak." I walked past her again, opened the front door, letting the cold air sweep in. She flinched as it brushed her skin, like truth had a temperature. She gripped the suitcase handle but didn't lift it. "Where am I supposed to go?" I looked at her. Really looked. For years, I had seen the woman I fell in love with, a woman who laughed too loudly at old sitcoms, danced barefoot in the kitchen. But that version was gone. The woman in front of me now was built of excuses and half-truths.
I don't know, I said.
Maybe to whoever's been waiting for those girls' nights to end. Her face turned pale. You went through my phone. I didn't have to, I said quietly. You revealed yourself months ago. The thing about liars is they forget to check if they're still believable. They mistake silence for ignorance. I had glimpsed the messages when she'd left her laptop open one night. I didn't read every word, just enough to understand the story. She called him someone who listens. That part hurt most because I used to be that someone. She stepped toward me, tears spilling finally. It's not like that. I just needed someone to talk to. You stopped. I stopped, I said softly. Claire, I didn't stop. You just stopped hearing me. The honesty between us had been fading for so long that its final gasp almost felt like mercy. She tried to speak again, but I simply nodded toward the door. Go, Claire. Before this becomes harder for both of us. She hesitated, eyes scanning the house as if memorizing it, suddenly remembering it had once been hers too. Then, with a shaky breath, she rolled the suitcase out. The sound of the wheels against the wooden floor was the loneliest sound I'd ever heard. When the door clicked shut, I stood there, hand on the frame, staring at the space she had just left. I thought I might feel rage, or maybe relief. But what came was quieter. Freedom mixed with mourning, as if I were attending the funeral of a love I had buried long before tonight. I returned to the living room. The wine glass still sat on the counter, faint lipstick visible. I picked it up, washed it, and returned it to the cabinet. Small gesture, but symbolic, removing her mark from the house from me. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the porch until sunrise, watching the sky shift from black to gray to gold. For the first time in years, I didn't wonder where she was, who she was with, or what I had done wrong. In the silence, I realized something. Love doesn't always end in shouting or slammed doors. Sometimes it dies in whispers like hers. I won't be long. She wasn't lying. She had left months before her body finally followed. By morning, I made coffee for one. The air felt different, cleaner somehow. I turned off the extra alarm she had set for her early jog and deleted the calendar reminders labeled date night. There was no anger, just acceptance. A few weeks later, a mutual friend mentioned she'd moved in with the man she'd been talking to. Younger, adventurous, took her to concerts, rooftop dinners. For a moment, the old sting returned, the ache of being replaced. But then I smiled. I wasn't angry she found someone new. I was grateful I had finally found myself. I redecorated the living room, painted the walls, took down the wedding photo that had hung in the hallway for nearly a decade. In its place, I hung a canvas with one line. Some goodbyes are beginnings in disguise. Every time I passed it, I reminded myself that peace isn't given, it's chosen. That night when I told her, this home isn't yours anymore, I wasn't throwing her out. I was inviting myself back in. A month later, her name appeared on my phone. One message. I miss you. I stared at it, cursor blinking like a heartbeat at the bottom of the screen. Then I typed 2 words, simple, honest, final. Don't hurry. And I never sent another message.